Peter, thank you for your time. I mean, you wrote splendidly recently, and I want to quote what you said. Every day I have to remind myself that Australia is still the best country in the world because almost every day I find myself wondering how on earth do we end up here? Can you answer your own question? How did we?
No, and I wonder whether it's a thing that comes with age. You know, you get nostalgic for the past, and I did say to my mother just before Christmas, and this sounds terrible, I know, because I have my health and I'm relatively young, but I did say, I'm pretty happy I won't be alive in 60, 70 years' time. I won't be around in 100 years' time to see what's become of Australia. Now, I remember my grandparents saying stuff like that when things went sort of off the rails with particular governments in the past. I can't believe that I say that now, but for me, it's not just the debt burden or the other issues that have long been debated in politics. It's the culture war and this idea that, you know, you saw this stuff today with the Australian National University. I thought it was nuts when I was reporting on it last week out of London, the National Health Service banning mums and, you know, all this sort of convoluted language to avoid even mentioning the word father. But here we are at our own university, and it's a Commonwealth entity in a way that not other universities are. They all get government money, but this one is owned by the Commonwealth, whereas a governance relationship with the Parliament, it's not good enough.
No, but I mean, it's a university which is supposed to be the bastion of free thought, telling people they can't use mother, they can't use father, they can't talk about breastfeeding. I mean, you said in that story you wrote, is this really what the generations before us sacrificed so much to build? A nation at war with itself? This is you writing at the weekend with people frightened to speak their minds and cancelled if they do. And you said, our parents and grandparents were proud of the values that had made humanity better. And then you wrote, we're now so confused and conflicted about the societies these values have spawned that we're either tearing them down or sitting passively by letting others do it. I mean, that's the guts of it. When you can't have a Mother of the Year award, Peter.
Yeah. And also, you know, there's debate on Talkback Radio, but most people are flicking over the page to the next crisis. Look, I can't... Can you imagine the Anzac coming back here to Australia and all my grandmother, your parents, walking through the main street, reading our newspapers, listening to the debate that we're having today and feeling like they have any resonance with the country that we've become? I can't believe that, Alan.
You can't have a maternity department. It's got to be known as the Perinatal Services Department. Breastfeeding is chest feeding.
Because maternity is linked to women. You know, and you can't say
I think actually women do have babies, don't they? Women do have babies, don't they?
Well, at the moment they do. At the moment they do. But I tell you what, it won't be long before we won't have breast cancer. We won't have the McGrath Foundation. It'll be chest cancer. It'll be, you know, some other contortion. And you don't build up people other than mothers who help raise children.
Well, who's going to stand up? I mean, where is someone in Canberra, the national government? Where is the national government saying, this is rubbish?
I was pretty snaky. I was pretty snaky with the Prime Minister. He was on Neil Mitchell on Friday. I put this in my column. He was asked about this woke debate, and he says, woke, who cares? Like, I'm not going to talk about it. He says, I just care about keeping people in a job. And that's all good and well. Absolutely, prime responsibility for a Prime Minister. But by God, if a Conservative leader can't stand up for values, can't defend motherhood, if a Conservative can't do that, we're in a lot of trouble.
We're in trouble. I mean, Dad is gone. A father becomes co-parent or second biological parent. And I mean, there's a Gender Institute handbook at a university, for God's sake, telling people what language they can use and what they can say. The handbook says, listen to this, while many students will identify as mothers or fathers, using those terms alone to describe parenthood excludes those who do not identify with gender binaries. And listen to this, language habits take practice to overcome. So, Peter, we're now going to engineer what people can say, and this is at a university. The Federal Minister for Education says nothing. The government, which represents the taxpayer, which funds this rubbish, says nothing. I mean, most people would never remember gestational.
To be fair to Alan Tudge, I reached out to him tonight and asked him for a comment, and he called it, you know, woke ideology gone mad. Well, he rejects it. He's trying to bring in the French code from Justice French about free speech on university campuses.
But stop giving them money.
The chancellors have been so... I agree with you on that. I agree with you on that. But we are having contortions over the issue of gender identification. At the last ABS statistics, the census in 2016, under under 1,500 people, 1,500 people in our country identified as transgender.
That's it.
Right? Now, so why are we turning ourselves upside down to denigrate females, mothers, fathers as well? I just think we are so wrong-headed on this, and I think every Australian has to resist this push. They have to speak up. Speak up at your bowling clubs. Speak up at your news agency.
Dead right.
Don't just speak up
Dead
when you
right.
feel safe. Speak up when anyone else is talking about this, and because there is safety in numbers on this debate.
And the reason, Peter, they should speak up is they're in the majority, not in the minority. And that's why you and I will keep at it. You do a wonderful job.
And that's not having a go at people like Kate McGregor, who you and I both love and admire. This is not the issue.
She'd agree with this anyway. She'd agree with this.
You don't build up some by tearing down others.
No,
you just don't do that.
You do a wonderful job. We're very proud of you. We love you, and we'll see you next week.